Welcome to Your Best Thing, the podcast. I'm your host, a licensed social worker and psychotherapist, Janelle Sanchez. In this episode and in every episode, I'm here to remind you that if you have you, you have everything you need, and you already are your best thing. Let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I feel affects all of us. I feel all of you who are listening might have experienced this in some capacity, whether it has to do within your career, whether your personal life, your personal passion projects, or within your relationships. And that is releasing the pressure to be perfect. We are living in a world where everything is like so aesthetically pleasing. Everything has to like match, has to go together, has to just fit right. You need to have the nice outfit with the right hairstyle, with the right water bottle and the right song to the picture and in the video, and everything just has to match. You have to have the right partner, you have to have the right just everything, font, everything. It's like everything you could think of, right? Something to point out, something worth diving into would be the perception of perfection, and how we can sometimes perceive that what we're doing is not quote unquote perfect, but in reality, we're believing that what we're doing is not enough because maybe we think so-and-so next to us has it this way or that way, or we just think, I have the capacity to do it better. I need to make it better and better and better right now. And life is just not like that. And I think for any business owner, any creative, any person who's ambitious, you see that a lot of times the journey is what perfects the process, right? The journey, the process perfects the outcome. And it's never, we hear about entrepreneurs who they've had so many business ventures before the one kicked off, or you just see how people evolve and their art evolves, and it's beautiful. And the only way that we can get to a place that we can have our product, our outcome better than what it was, or better, or what we have it in our mind to be, is if we just begin. And that's why I wanted to make this episode, is because a lot of times we hold back from releasing what it is that's in us, releasing whatever it is that God has placed in us, releasing our personalities, releasing our art, releasing our project, releasing that special thing in you, because we have so much pressure to be perfect. And when we are held back by that, the only thing we're doing is holding back the promise, right? Or holding back the success, the outcome. I say the promise because I grew up in church, y'all. So sometimes I get into it and my words start getting really inspirational, very churchy out here. But that's the way I can explain it. It's like, and I'm realizing this for myself, when I think about different projects and different things that I want and do, and in this season, in this year, I've been telling myself to be very focused on what it is that you're going to be working on, because I'm a kind of person that I like to jump things. I like to jump and jump because I just love to do it, because I'm like, I can, why not? I love to learn. I'm curious. So there's things I just like to dab into just because I want my brain to grow. Do you get what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But I'm learning that in order to get further, I need to be focused. But in my focus, I need to be okay with releasing the pressure to be perfect, because if I'm being honest with myself, sometimes I don't stick with it because I just think subconsciously, maybe it's not enough. Maybe I'm not enough. These are things that we think subconsciously that hold us back. I believe the fear behind that is that we think if we think we're not enough, will other people then see that? Will other people then be exposed to that it's not enough? And this is all, I'm trying not to cuss on my podcast anymore, but it's all BS. It's all BS. It's all BS. This perception of perfection, it's all BS. And the minute, like I said, when we release this thing into the world, when we're able to say, hey, like I said, in this season of my life, I'm focused on a few things to get further. And for myself, I'm just telling myself, the sooner you get to it, the sooner the outcome and the success and what you're looking for is going to get to you. You can't really talk about the subject without really diving into, where does this come from? A lot of times I talk to my clients, I'm like, where did this come from? Where do you think this came from? Where did this thinking pattern, where did this programming in your mind come from that's telling you it needs to be perfect? And let's say that, let's go with that. If it's not perfect, then what? Let's say you're starting a business and you have a website and you're working on this day and night, and it's really you just procrastinating because you're scared to release your business. You're just scared, right? Tell yourself and give yourself permission to go here. You're taking so much time on this project. You're like reworking it. And you're doing that because you think it needs to be perfect, right? And I'm not shying away from it needs to be great, right? I'm not shying away from the fact that you need to make sure you do your best. But I'm kind of shining light on, I'm shining light on the fact that your best is enough. Okay? Where does that come from? Who told you that your best wasn't enough? Who told you that? Stop and think, what situations in life has presented itself to you and given you this thought or impression that you're not enough, that it's not enough? Think about it for a minute. Think about it for a second. Sometimes we have family expectations, social media, career milestones, dating timelines, all of these external pressures, but all of these internal pressures too. I know for me, when it comes to several things, right? But specifically when it comes to my career, I mean, I know I've pivoted so many times and I've been so many times into different crazy areas. I've stuck with social work and like mental health and marketing. So these are two things that have been reoccurring themes in my life. However, whether it's like going from one role to another or just exploring different things, starting my own business, I've went back and forth. I've explored these things and I've kind of did it in a very carefree mentality where it's like, I'm just curious, I'm gonna run for it. And I've gotten so many cool outcomes from that. So many great outcomes from that. But I also think now in my life, as I'm about to turn 34 in a few weeks, I've gotten this like overwhelming fear that's just kind of come over me right before I launched my Nella's Big Feelings, my kids YouTube channel. And right as I'm like still working this podcast, I've gotten this like overwhelming thing on me that's like, Janelle, what are you doing? Like you're going to be 40 in 5 years. Like get this together. Do you know what I'm saying? And to myself having this pressure that I've gotten from my external factors, right? The things around me and what I see and how I should be here or there when it comes to my career. And I have some internal pressure where it's like, girl, are you okay? And it's funny because it's actually right before I launched two things or right while I'm in the midst of two things that are just, I think are the things I'm most proud of. So it's just really interesting the pressures that we allow to get to us. And not just that, but when we're talking to people, and this is why it's so important to surround yourself with people who are really for you. I mean, not the fake for you. I'm talking about the real for you. You know, the people who are see the gift, they see it and they're like, yeah, you're onto something. You know, not the haters that be like, what are you doing? Just because they're afraid. I cannot stand someone who is so afraid to make choices or take risks and then they project that on you. Keep that over there. Okay, keep that negative energy over there. I do love and respect the people who are like, listen, couldn't be me because I just don't work like that, but I love this for you. I admire that. I see that. And I really appreciate that because, you know, we need a little bit of everything in the sauce, in the sauce. You get what I'm saying? I also think, like, for me personally, I have a lot of family members who are entrepreneurs. So the risk taking was never something that was like so overwhelming to me. However, now I'm just some of that other pressure I see, even when it's like socials. I've never been a girl to like compare myself and stuff like that on socials. But I think, again, my time, my biological, my internal clock, I feel like it's ticking. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what they're talking about. But that, you know, this is where it comes from. And it's important to name the pressure. When we are working on a project, when we're doing something and we want to get it out there into the world, whether we're like looking for a new career path, whether we're looking for a new city to live at, whether if we're making something and we want to put it out there, we want to put ourselves out there more, we're dating, you know, and we're prolonging it because of that pressure to be perfect. It's good to name the pressure. You know, in therapy, I always say, name the feeling. We have to name it because when we put it out there, it's like, okay, now I can deal with it. Now I can confront it. Now I can hustle, tussle, wrestle with it. Do you get what I'm saying? Now I can put some truth to it. for this age specifically, I'm like I said, I'm hitting 34. I almost was going to say 35. Wow. I'm hitting 34. A lot of things like career pivots, right? What I just said, that's a pressure, marriage and kids versus single life. Financial milestones. One of the biggest things I'm really challenging myself right now is the phrase that I should have it all together by now. I should know this. I know better. And there's some rewiring that has to go on in our brain sometimes for some things for us to really get it. I'm here to remind you, being hard on yourself is not going to make it better. When you're struggling to release something, when you're really dealing with the pressure of perfection, being hard on yourself doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. So stop that. You just have to name the pressure because it's going to help you confront it in a gentle way and get around it. But being hard on yourself, I should have it all together. What am I doing? First of all, name calling to yourself is never okay. I hope you're not name calling. If you are name calling, I'm going to need you, like self-talk, that negative self-talk, I'm going to need you to DM me because we need to figure that out. Okay. But just being kind to yourself, that's how it shows up. This pressure also shows up like that. Just thinking to yourself, my next steps are big pivotal steps. And if I'm feeling like I'm not where I should be, that's how you can kind of be aware, okay, this is some of that pressure, okay? Here are some myths that I think we really need to break down, because once we break these down, I think breaking down the myths, it's a part of the confronting of the pressure, confronting naming the pressure, confronting that thing. And once we break it down, it's easier for us to be kinder to ourselves and easier for us to live our life and actually, pursue the thing without feeling overwhelmed, or without feeling, I should say, overwhelmed to the point that you are paralyzed. Okay. Myth 1, perfection equals success. I just need to take a moment. That is the biggest lie. Perfection equals success. I don't know about you, but there's been times that I'm really into content creation as a hobby. I need to make that very clear because I am not like your like regular like influencer person who's out here like every day I gotta make a post. No, it's like a hobby. Creating gives me energy. And when it comes to posting my reels, it's a nice hobby. Okay. However, perfection does not equal success. And there's times that I'm making videos and I'm making reels and I'm literally trying to make it so perfect because I love the topic or because I love like the content, and I'm trying to make the fonts perfect. I'm trying to make the music, make the beat drop at the perfect time. I want all the right angles. I want all the right, XYZ. And that reel goes no, I post it and it just does not perform well. Okay, does not perform well. Then there are other times that I'm just like putting a clip of my podcast, or I'm just like posting something so random and it performs like crazy. It's just like there's just all this engagement and all that. And it just proves to show perfection, or my perception of perfection. My perception of perfection does not equal success. Sometimes we want to present ourselves into the world as a person who is very educated, because we are, right? Like as a person who speaks well, because we do. As a person who, is very, how we say in Spanish, fina, because we are. But that does not necessarily mean that's going to resonate with the audience that is looking to us to be authentically us, to be, witty and just like authentic, all that good stuff. Perfection, our perception of perfection does not equal success. Our definition of success is something that we want to be clear about too. Because if we are making success a thing that is not realistic, okay? Looking online and seeing someone who has been in a field for years and years and years, and you're comparing your current self to their year 50 self, that's just not realistic. So what is your definition of success? And that's just a side note. Myth number 2, everyone else is doing better. I struggle with this in the sense when it comes to, I'm being very vulnerable right now. I'm such a Virgo. I'm like, I have to announce that this is me being vulnerable. But when it comes to certain things in life, whether it's financially or if it's just life in general with different milestones of what people consider success, this is why it's important for you to determine what success is. It's a myth that we have that everyone else is doing it better. You know, whether it's someone who's doing a podcast, they're doing it better, you know, or they're, you know, see someone else's relationship and they just look so happy. They're doing it better. You know, that's not the truth. They're doing it their way and you're doing it your way. And you guys are on different playing fields. And this is about you versus you. Okay. Everyone else isn't doing it better. They're just doing it their way for where they are. And you are doing it your way for where you are. And guess what? This is your life, your race to run. And as long as you're still running, you're doing it better. You versus you, okay? You're doing it better with you versus you, okay? Myth number 3, if I let go of perfection, I'll lose ambition. You guys, I could fall out with the way my mind has had to really let go of this. If I let go of taking 10 years, I'm being dramatic, you know, but like 10 weeks to work on something that could take me a week, it's me losing ambition. You know, it's me losing the doing it right. You know, it's me losing the value, or like what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm just losing the umph, you know, losing the capacity. I have capacity to make it pop in, you know, and I'm losing that. And it's not true. It's not true. You letting go of perfection does not mean you're letting go of ambition. Those are two different things. If anything, you are encouraging your ambition by releasing that pressure to be perfect and getting more done. Not just getting more done, but making more quality work, making more work that is reflective of the core of your message, of the core of your dream, of the core of your vision. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. And also the picture doesn't have to be done. Okay? Sometimes process has to be in the way. I know I said a little bit about that earlier. So I want you to start reframing and resetting some of the mindset we have around this. I am a big fan of like reprogramming the mind. I'm a big fan of rewiring the brain, because a lot of the ways that we think really come from a place of how we were programmed. You know, as a kid, our brain is a machine and we're programmed to think certain things and to like have that paradigm, that perspective and that lens of the world. And so when that's never challenged, when we are not growing our self-awareness, it's hard to be able to step out of ourselves and be like, wow, I think like this because XYZ. I think like this because mom thought like this and she just like passed it on to me, or dad thought like this, or grandma thought like this and they just passed it on to me. And so it's always important when you're having a hard time to like move forward, push through, to really pause, reframe, and reset. And I want you to reframe ambition. Okay? Reframe. Good enough is actually sustainable progress. You know, when it comes to this podcast, when I started, I went full force with like just making all of these cool like marketing like for it, and like, you know, I had all these ideas and I started making these videos. I started making these episodes, and I realized really quickly that the perfect podcast in my head was not going to happen then and there, because first of all, y'all see how long it takes. Well, y'all don't see. It takes so much work to set this up. It takes so much work to edit this. It takes so much work to get ready for it, to like write out what you're going to talk about, to get yourself right, you know, to get the microphones right, the cords right, the light, everything. And I'm like, wow, this is not going to be what I thought. And I got discouraged. I got so discouraged because I'm like, no, I don't want that I don't want this at-home podcast. I want a podcast in the studio. But the truth is, good enough is actually giving me sustainable progress. Right now, the core, my passion, my mission with this podcast is to really help people embrace and know and be enlightened to know that they are already enough and they are their best thing. If you have you have everything you need. And that's the core message. And guess what? Whether I'm at home right now, setting up all my stuff, or I'm in a studio, the core is going to be, it's going to be communicated. That's what it's going to thrive. And so good enough right now is actually sustainable progress. You will get to where you're going, but give yourself permission to progress slowly, to be able to sustain a thing. Okay. Sometimes, and I'm a big, like I said, I'm big for this. I want the big production, but the big production sometimes is not sustainable. Okay. I want the romance and the relationship that's all fireworks every single damn day. But guess what? That's not sustainable, because people are people and we need to, reset a little bit. We need to have some self-care. We are going to have some bad days. You know what I'm saying? I want the good enough, that's sustainable progress. And guess what? The more you work at it, the more you build that muscle. Good enough, that bar is going to keep going higher. So it doesn't mean you're going to stay right where your baseline is. You're going to grow that baseline. Okay, I'm not a big believer in failing. I don't believe failing is a thing. Like I said, I try so many things. So I don't believe in failure. The only time you really fail is if you quit. And even then, if you quit after you've given your all and you're like, wow, I really think this is not for me. I tried it. It's not for me. I'm going to pivot. I still don't think that's failing. I think that's awesome. That's courage. And you tried. And like, not just that you tried, you were doing it. But it just, you realize this isn't for me. How else would you know? But just know, if you are in that mentality of failing, just know that don't take as something as failing. Like for example, that post I told you about that didn't do well, it didn't perform well. It's not failing. It's just feedback, right? Like I put something out into the world. It didn't get the response that I thought it would. Well, guess what? It's feedback. Let me see why. This is why I love research. I love research. I love all that, because it's this life really is not about failing. It's all about just like learning, growing, exploring, all that stuff. But what you think is failure is really feedback. Take it as feedback and don't take it personal. So of course we're going to get into some practical tools, because how would we grow if we don't have anything practical to take with us? And so you are not my therapy client, but I'm going to give you some homework today, and it's going to be some journaling. What pressure am I putting on myself that no one asked me to carry? That's the journal. That's the question I want you to answer. As you're driving and listening, as you're journaling, really, I would love for you to journal this. In your notes on your phone, in your notebook, what pressure am I putting on myself that no one asked me to carry? Be brave. Answer that. Be brave and answer that. Now, also, I want you to start building some micro habits that build self-trust, okay? When we build self-trust, we then make it easier to release the pressure of perfection, because then we know, okay, I know how I navigate in this situation. I know what I got. Okay. I know what I got, and what I have is enough. Okay. So build micro habits or do things that are going to help you push that baseline a little further. So you want to put yourself out there as a speaker or a motivational speaker. You start sharing some of your work, right? In little ways. You can start on your story on Instagram, right? Just posting a little story. You could start a blog and start writing some things, and maybe you just send it out to a few of people you know, or maybe you just don't send it out to people you know, send it out to people you don't know. Okay, start a whole new page. Put in some like micro habits and also some micro actions that are going to build that confidence, and we build that confidence by building some of that self-trust. Okay. This next practical tool I've been practicing, I want to say the last like 4 months, and it's been so great. Practice imperfection. Practice imperfection. I love this. I've been trying, like, for example, today, I was like, you know what? I wanted to wash my hair, make it all curly, all stuff. And, I was like, you know what? This is a time block I have. I can get this done. Or I can be obsessed with being, quote unquote, perfect. And it's really just me procrastinating and not getting it done. Okay. Also, when it comes to my reels, when it comes to just like basically a lot of things, even me, like with my routine and just like my workouts and stuff, or my cooking, meal prepping and stuff, I can practice being imperfect. I post without over editing. That's a big one. Post without over editing. Blah, blah, blah. You hear me? Post without over editing. Just do it. You know why? Because people are not perfect. We're not perfect. Okay. So if you post without over editing, you're gonna be able to release that art, release that thing within you, and take that pressure off of you. And you'll be amazed at the response you get with that. And it's gonna give you an opportunity to have room for other things. Okay, try something new, even if you're bad at it. Try something new, even if you're bad at it. You know you're bad at it. Try it. It's gonna give you permission to live. Okay, it's gonna give you permission to just be, to be present, and you'll find another version of you on the other side. Well, that was a lot for today, and I just love this topic, and I really do feel like I could talk about this nonstop because I'm so obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with embracing it. I'm obsessed with sharing it. I'm obsessed with hearing about it. And so anything you took away, I just want you to know that progress means more than perfection always. Okay. And you are already enough. Okay. Gentle encouragement to release one pressure this week, whatever it is. Maybe it's the pressure of getting ready for, I don't know, a date, and you just continue to just try to perfect yourself in so many ways. Just knock it out. Okay, knock it off. Maybe you are about to present in a meeting and you just keep changing up your notes and changing up the PowerPoint and changing up the pitch. Do your best, but know your best is enough. Okay? Share this episode with a friend who puts too much pressure on themselves. Do that for me, okay? And I'd love to hear from you either on YouTube in the comments or on Instagram. Send me a DM, send me a little voice note. This is such a great topic, and I know I'm not the only one who does this. And if you're a Virgo, I definitely want to hear from you because I know it happens to us. And even if you're not, just send me a message. I would love to hear from you. So thank you so much for checking out the podcast this week. I'm looking forward to releasing the pressure to be perfect with you and posting this podcast more often because we're in this together. And so I can't tell you to do something I'm not willing to do. All right, y'all. So be on the lookout for the next episode next week. And remember, you are your best thing here and now and always.